Today's video has been sponsored by Bombas. On the newest installment of utilizing this YouTube channel as an excuse to stuff my face with foods I enjoy, we were doing a whole nother video based on chicken parm. If you missed the last one, it was many years ago, but we had quite a battle between some incredible chefs and their creations. And coming out on top was Alton Brown and his chicken parm. I still dream of that thing. Today, we'll not only be remaking that one just as a little refresher, but we'll also have 3 more very formidable contestants attempting to take the title away from Alton. And will anybody be able to do it? Let's get right into this one. Don't get me wrong, some of these other recipes look great, but Alton Brown is just him. From his TV shows to his YouTube channel, the lore behind this guy and his recipes, he is just a legend. And while we have a quick second, allow me to take a moment to shout out some more legends, my friends over at Bombas. Just over a decade ago, the founders over at Bombas learned that socks are the #1 most requested item at homeless shelters. As a result, they not only set out to solve that problem, but also happened to create the world's most comfortable sock in the process. And once again, I feel the need to apologize to anybody who clicked on this video purely expecting food. I love these damn socks. Look at these gorgeous things. That built-in arch support, the lack of annoying toe seam up front. It doesn't matter if I'm going to play tennis or basketball or going to run. If I need a comfortable, reliable sock, I'm automatically reaching for these things. And even still, my favorite part about Bombas is that with every item purchased means another one donated, so you feel great about your purchase in more ways than one. And in just over a decade now, they've donated over 100 million items, which is amazing. And incredibly, they offer a 100% happiness guarantee. So it doesn't matter if you got a hole in one or if Nala got a hold of one, they offer free returns and exchanges. So feel good and do good with Bombas, knowing your purchase does some real good in this world. Click that link in the top line of the description or scan the QR code on screen to go to bombas.com/David. And when you use my code David20 at checkout, new customers will get 20% off of their first purchase of Bombas. I missed you, Alton Brown, so welcome back. Let's remake your chicken parm to set the bar for all these schlubs. I grabbed salt and vinegar chips and plain breadcrumbs, olive oil and garlic powder, AP flour, unsalted butter, and some dried parsley, dried oregano, San Marzanos, and anchovies, crushed red pepper flakes, fontina, and mozzarella cheeses, a chicken breast, some Parmesan rinds, fresh garlic, an egg, salt and pepper, and some fresh parsley. Now, I feel like I've allowed enough time to go by before doing this part 2 video, although it's been on my mind since the day after I made that first one, over 3 years ago. Because, as I have said many times, chicken parm is one of my all-time favorite foods. If you put any bastardized Italian-American food in front of me that's got meat, cheese, sauce, maybe a pasta, I will almost always crush it. In this recipe, what you're seeing in front of your face is the best one I've ever eaten. It uses plenty of salt and vinegar chips in that breadcrumb mixture. It really elevates everything, from the crunchy texture to the salty tanginess. I've never seen this done anywhere else, but it is genius. But I think the real underlying magic to this recipe is his determination to reduce as much water in every component as possible and really intensify those flavors. I drained off the can of tomatoes and then took that sauce as far as it can go, about an hour on the stove. You also dry brine your chicken breasts in the fridge for about a half an hour to allow that salt to work its magic and suck all the moisture out. And then, before putting it all together, you broil just the sauce in your pan to get it even more reduced and thick and nice and caramelized. I could go on for hours about the genius of Alton Brown and how much I love good eats growing up, but right now, being able to taste this thing again is my main order of business. What a great day. It's so good. I've eaten hundreds, if not 1,000, chicken parms, and this is the best one I've ever had. The flavors are just unreal. It is so salty and sweet and umami rich. The parm and the anchovies in that sauce really elevate things. The chicken is also so tender, you don't even need a knife. It just cuts right like butter with a fork. I'll say it's not the most visually appealing chicken parm. You wouldn't see it in a commercial because it's not drenched in cheese and sauce, but that also works in its benefit. And even if it was completely covered, I still don't know if the sauce would make it soggy because it is so thick and rich. The tomatoes get so sweet. This is one of the few times where I will advise that you splurge a little bit and get those San Marzanos instead of a can of crushed tomatoes. This is just an example of a dish that will always hold up, so good luck everybody else! And now for the challengers, and we are wasting no time getting into the big leagues because Gordon Ramsay's coming through with his chicken parm. I grabbed some flour, grapeseed oil, and panko, marinara, and parmesan, butter, a chicken breast, fresh mozzarella and smoked paprika, an egg, and some salt and pepper. And outside of the grapeseed oil and the smoked paprika, this is a very simple dish. It's almost like shockingly simple. Almost as shocking as checking my local news this weekend and seeing Jake Paul infiltrating my town and prancing around one of the local lakes. At least he didn't destroy that house that he rented and have a party with 300 people. Although, maybe he only does that at the height of the beer virus. As far as Gordon's chicken parm goes, I was immediately sick of using parchment paper to pound and roll out your chicken. It just did not work. The paper just shredded and got stuck to the chicken. It was a little bit more practical to use when rolling those panko breadcrumbs to get them to really stick inside of the chicken. And the rest of this is as simple as frying it off in some grapeseed oil and then topping it with some marinara, some fresh mozzarella. I did love the addition of tons of freshly grated parm in the breadcrumb itself. That should add plenty more flavor. And it was also an excuse to get some of the 25 pounds of Parmesan cheese I still have in my freezer from that wheel. Sometimes it feels like that thing had a duplication spell on it and it'll never run out. By the end, the cutlet was behemoth-sized. It might as well have been a schnitzel, but it smells and looks great, so let's give it a taste. First impressions, this thing is freaking hefty, man. It's gotta be like 2 pounds almost. With peace and love to my Italian peeps, I don't care if foods like this piss you off. They're so good. Nobody's trying to say that this is some authentic Napoli, Tuscan dish, whatever. We are well aware that this is hyper-American and it is damn good. This one's got those perfectly crispy edges thanks to the panko. I love the thickness of this chicken. That's almost perfect for me. And I love the fresh mozzarella on there too, but it doesn't even compare to the first one still. It's got nowhere near that interesting depth of flavor or that real rich sauce. If you're in a pinch, this will work fine because I made this in 15 or 20 minutes, but as for today's rankings, Alton is not sweating. Next up today, it's time for some unfinished business because this recipe by Babish came out 12 hours before my last chicken parm video. I kind of felt like every single pop girl when they release new music just to see Taylor Swift's name back on the charts. But still, we're gonna tackle it today, and I grabbed some flour and olive oil, garlic powder, panko, and San Marzanos, a chicken breast, tomato paste, dried oregano and basil, crushed red pepper flakes, onion and garlic, some more parm and fresh basil, salt and pepper, some water, an egg, and fresh mozzarella. And before I forget, I fully realized that Babish has now done a second chicken parm recipe, actually featuring mythical chef Josh. But I'm gonna pretend that video never happened, because we've already tested a chicken parm from Josh, and honestly, the first one looks better. Also, if you couldn't already tell, this video is strictly a battle of the chicken parms. It's got nothing to do with saucy pasta sides or frilly broccoli robs. We're talking just the mains here, so you've got nothing else to hide behind except your meat. Now, the biggest differences we have with Babish's meat are mostly to do with the dredge, actually. The egg slurry gets a little bit of flour to thicken that up, I guess. And the flour and breadcrumbs gets a ton of seasoning, from lots of grated parm to the garlic powder. The dried spices, lots of salt and pepper, so at the very least, we know this is going to be a very flavorful coating. It also gets a double dredge in both the egg and the panko that's really gonna build up that crispy exterior, at least in theory. Don't get me wrong, there is a point past which the bready coating of a chicken can be way too thick and overbearing. I'm looking at you, most fast food chicken sandwiches. But that shouldn't be an issue here, so I got these fried off in some vegetable oil, not peanut oil as Babish suggested. I don't feel like croaking today. And then, maybe the biggest change, maybe the most genius, is the layering that this gets. Onto the chicken, we're getting a layer of fresh basil, then the fresh mozzarella into the broiler, only after which we load on the sauce, some more parm, and chopped basil. I think this is genius. This has the potential to be a game changer, so let's see how it does. I see you, Babish. If you're looking for one hell of a crunch, This is gonna be your chicken parm, my God. A double dipped coating of panko that's fully protected from the sauce by that cheese. It's the crunchiest piece of chicken parm I've ever had, which I think is very important, even though a certain Joshua had this to say.
And I think you need to get back to your roots and make some soggy ass, gloopy mozzarella cheese, chewy chicken parm.
So, sog is essential.
Sog is essential.
I'm sorry, man, I love you. I just don't agree. I think texture is very important. In a completely unexpected twist, out of all 6 or 7 recipes I've tried, this one is the closest to matching Alton. As for taking the lead or even a tie, I can't quite get there, but this is way closer than I thought it would be, so excellent job, Babish. And the challengers just keep coming, because to round this one off, we've got the person who is to Food YouTube what Alton Brown was to Food Network. It's Chef John from Food Wishes and his new and improved chicken parmesan. I grabbed some flour, plain breadcrumbs, and olive oil, marinara sauce, ricotta cheese, an egg, cheddar cheese, parmesan, cayenne, a chicken breast, salt and pepper, and fresh parsley. Let's rip the band-aid off. There is noticeably something absent here that has been present in all the other versions. That, of course, is mozzarella cheese, and seemingly in its place being ricotta and cheddar. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know if this should be grounds for disqualification, but fortunately, I love ricotta cheese, probably more than mozzarella. We always seem to have an open tub of it in my fridge growing up. I would throw it on meatballs and pastas, and that is what belongs in a lasagna, if you ask me. I got the chicken pounded out and used Chef John's very efficient, food waste cognizant method of coating all these, and got it nice and brown. And when I went to open my ricotta, what is going on today? I just bought this yesterday, and it doesn't expire for weeks. First we had Listerine in cold cuts, then Miss Salmon in cucumbers. I didn't even know they could carry that disease. I don't know what the hell's going on, but once I had my cheese mix ready to go, I plopped it on my chicken, along with plenty more parm, some olive oil, finished with some fresh parsley. Is it possible that the mozzarella-less chicken parm looks the best out of all these today? I don't know. And as much as I love me some ricotta and cheddar, this still has a lot of heavy lifting to do to convince me it's gonna work. This is freaking good, man. This is like one of those recipes that you've never heard of in a restaurant, but you take a stab on, and then you never order anything else. I was fully ready to jump on the coating and the chicken, because it just didn't have as much going on as all the other recipes, but it doesn't need it. The chicken is so well seasoned and juicy, and there's so much flavor packed into the cheese mix. And as I try to compare this to Alton's, it feels a little difficult, just because this feels like its own thing. This feels like a chicken Milanese with a burrata popped on top. It's still one of the best versions of this I've ever had. It's a testament to how I could never get sick of this food. I think for now this one's gonna slide into second place, but it has certainly turned chicken parms on their head for me. Even still, Alton Brown, you have not been dethroned today.
With the M without the AD. Flipping burgers and my money super lazy. Try and make a meal tonight, they ain't paying me. Try and supersize my life with my 18. Yeah, our style wasn't wavy, but we had a vision. We could make